Hello everyone and welcome to the first installment of RDW's What If series, where we look at the first scenario we've put out to mind. What if it was not Fatty Ogre versus Px90 in the champion versus champion match, but it was BAMF Lesnar versus Px90 in the champion versus champion match? Now, as this match progresses, we'll be talking about the history building up to the event as to actually what happened, versus the possible events that could have happened leading up to this point. Now, first off, what started the champion versus champion matchup was when BAMF Lesnar was the world champion in the spring of 2016. He had beaten everyone in the roster at the time. That's when RDW signed Fatty Ogre and gave him the first shot at the world title in his first night. Management wasn't for sure confident that Fatty Ogre would be able to beat BAMF Lesnar, because BAMF Lesnar had beaten the likes of Krieger Margin, Harvey Beardman, Venom, and Cosmos all within the week. So they were testing to see if he could be the one to beat him. And what had happened was he pulled an upset and defeated BAMF Lesnar, which led to the next show's event where BAMF Lesnar cashed in his rematch clause to gain it back. But it was not to be, as Fatty Ogre was able to retain the world title and go on to Summer Bash 2016 as the first champion in the champion versus champion matchup. And while that was going on, we had held a small tournament deciding the second title in RDW, the RDW Lightweight Championship, which later on got turned into the RDW Intercontinental Championship. But at the time, it was named the Lightweight Championship. And it had a couple noticeable guys in it: Cosmos, Krieger Margin, and Px90. In the final round, it came down to Px90 and Krieger Margin in one of the most controversial matchups, with Krieger Margin's dirty tactics in the fight, rubbing his forearm across the head of Px90. But with that aside, Px90 was able to win and gain the Lightweight Championship and move on to face Fatty Ogre at Summer Bash in the champion versus champion bout. In the aftermath, it was Px90 who came out on top, continuing his winning streak he had throughout the entirety of the live-action RDW League, and he would remain undefeated until the doors closed for 2 years. Whereas Fatty Ogre, after that night, he had one more title match against Harvey Beardman, which he won, but he was forced to relinquish the title because he was going to South Korea for schooling, and he never got a shot at the world title ever since. He did earn and win the RDW Survival title after that, but it was not to be anything else after that, as the doors did close 2 years ago, as I said prior. But now, let's take a look at this scenario here. If BAMF Lesnar was to successfully retain the title against Fatty Ogre, then you would have to face another opponent at the pay-per-view after that. Who would have been named as his opponent? It probably would have been either Harvey Beardman or Jason Anderson, and he would go on to retain the belt leading up to Summer Bash, which would also change the fact that BAMF Lesnar would not go through a creative change and then become the regulator. So he would remain as BAMF Lesnar until probably later on in his career. At the same time, the tournament would still hold its shape, and Px90 would go on and still win the Lightweight Championship. And then we would come down to this. In 2016, we would have the first ever time one-on-one bout between the likes of BAMF Lesnar and Px90. A match, a dream match in RDW that was scheduled multiple times throughout the year of 2017 and the very early start of 2018, but it would never come to be, as timing and scheduling would not match up perfectly, and the match would never come to fruition. But right now, we're looking at the scenario as if it were to happen in 2016. And folks, we hope you enjoy the rest of this matchup, and we'll come back to you at the end of the bout, giving our thoughts of this matchup. And there you have it. That is the what if scenario. What would have happened if it was BAMF Lesnar versus Px90 in the champion versus champion bout? Px90 would go on to retain his winning streak throughout the years of 2016 and 2017. And BAMF Lesnar would probably go under creative change after this and become the regulator after. But folks, we hope you enjoyed this segment of What If from RDW's What If series. We will be back in a few days to play out our next What If scenario on RDW's Red Dust Wrestling's YouTube channel. I'm Px90, signing out.